The worst immortality deal ever offered. Picture this. You are a being of immense cosmic intelligence. You can travel anywhere in time and space. Your body can die and rebuild itself into a whole new person. You have access to the sum of all temporal knowledge. Your civilization has existed for millions of years and invented concepts most species haven't even named yet. Sounds like winning, right? It is not. Being a Time Lord is one of the most exhausting, painful, and quietly terrible existences in all of science fiction. And the fact that it comes with a really cool blue box doesn't change that. When you actually look at what Time Lord life involves on a daily basis, across centuries, the picture that emerges is less ancient cosmic god and more survivor of multiple civilizational tragedies who desperately needs a therapist and can't find one who lives long enough. Let's get into it. Gallifrey is a bureaucratic nightmare with better architecture. Everyone pictures Gallifrey as this glittering, magnificent planet. Red-orange skies, silver-leafed trees, the citadel rising out of the landscape like someone bet a civilization it couldn't out-dramatic everything else. And yeah, visually, it's stunning. Internally, it's a caste-obsessed, tradition-choked aristocracy where politics moves at geological speed and being the wrong kind of clever at the wrong moment can follow you for 500 years. The Academy, where young Time Lords are trained, is not a place of wonder. It is a place of control. You are taught temporal mechanics, nonlinear causality, xenological law, and most importantly, the absolute requirement to observe and not interfere. You learn to watch civilizations burn and call it caution. You learn that feelings are undisciplined. You learn that deviation is weakness. This is the environment that produced the Doctor and the Master, and every other Time Lord who either became dangerously rigid or lost themselves entirely trying to escape the rigidity. A society that punishes curiosity and rewards detachment doesn't produce wise guardians. It produces people who are either completely shut down or running as fast as possible in the opposite direction. Regeneration is identity death with partial memory. Let's talk about regeneration. Because everyone thinks it's the greatest perk. You die and come back as a new person. What's not to love? Everything. Everything is not to love. Regeneration saves your life, but it does not save you. Your memories carry over, but your personality can shift dramatically. Your preferences change. Your emotional patterns change. Your entire relationship to your own past changes. The new you has to reconcile with a history they remember but may not feel connected to, and everyone around you has to grieve the version you were while pretending everything is fine because technically you're still alive. Your friends are stuck in an impossible position. They can't fully mourn you because you haven't died by conventional definition, but the person they knew is just gone. Now multiply that by 13, 15, more, depending on the era. You become a walking archive of former selves, each one leaving behind guilt you still carry, promises you still have to honor, and relationships you never fully resolve. The 10th time it happens, what does continuity of self even mean? You're not one person, you're a lineage. And regeneration can go wrong. It can be forced, it can be stolen, manipulated, or triggered at the worst possible moment. The thing that's supposed to save you can be weaponized against you. The regeneration energy itself can be extracted and used. Your biological survival mechanism is also a power source that people will kill to obtain. That's not a gift, that's a target on your back that regenerates with you. The non-interference policy makes you watch preventable disasters. The Time Lords built their entire philosophy around this idea. Don't touch history unless it absolutely must be touched. And even then, be very careful and prefer not to. It sounds wise. It becomes horrifying. Non-interference means you are standing at the edge of atrocities with the knowledge and power to stop them, and the institutional obligation not to. It means watching the Dalek Wars begin knowing exactly how many billions of lives are about to be ruined. It means observing genocides that your intervention could prevent, and filing the observation in the Matrix for future consultation. The Doctor spends most of his lives fighting his own civilization's defining principle because he actually looked at what the principle meant in practice. And even he doesn't always get it right. Sometimes his intervention makes things worse. Sometimes non-interference really was the less terrible option. That's the actual moral weight of being a Time Lord with a conscience. It's not do good things. It's navigate a constant impossible calculation between action that might save some people and inaction that preserves something larger, and live with every outcome. Nobody in the Academy teaches you how to do that part. They just teach you the rule and leave you to collapse under the exceptions. The Time War left no one intact. Then came the conflict that made everything else look manageable. The Time War was not a regular war. It was a war fought across time itself, with weapons designed not just to kill but to erase, to retroactively unmake entire chains of causality. Civilizations were caught in temporal crossfire and simply stopped having existed. The battlefield was history itself. The casualties included realities. By the end, the Doctor believed the only way to stop it was to destroy Gallifrey, to burn his own planet and his own people to prevent something worse from spreading across all of time. That calculation, whether or not it turned out to be fully accurate, broke something fundamental. Living with that breaks people. The Master's nihilism, the Doctor's recurring grief, the erratic behavior of other surviving Time Lords, all of it traces back to that wound. A civilization that presented itself as the wisest and most controlled in the universe went to war and proved it was just as capable of catastrophic failure as anyone else. And then it ended, or almost ended, and the survivors had to keep going with that knowledge. There is no therapy for this. There is no adequate framework. You just carry it forward, across regenerations, forever. Everyone you love leaves before you do. If you manage to form real attachments despite Gallifreyan emotional repression training, you then get to experience the particular joy of watching everyone you care about age and die while you keep going. Companions travel with the Doctor for months or years and then leave, age, or die. Sometimes they leave badly. Sometimes they can never come home. Sometimes they forget you completely. And you, the Time Lord, remember every single one of them in full detail for centuries. You could stop letting people in. Some Time Lords do. They build walls, maintain professional distance, interact with other species like a naturalist observing endangered animals from a safe remove. And they are the ones who slide into the coldest versions of themselves. Or you keep letting people in and pay for it continuously. You accumulate love and loss across centuries until grief becomes just another layer underneath everything you do, informing every decision, driving every desperate attempt to save the next person since you couldn't save the last one. Neither option is actually fine. They're just different ways of being broken by the same problem. The Matrix means you might not actually get to rest. Here is a detail about Gallifreyan civilization that doesn't get discussed enough. When Time Lords die, their minds can be stored in the Matrix, the vast repository of Time Lord consciousness that runs underneath the capital. That sounds peaceful, maybe? A legacy, a continuation of memory. It's actually deeply unsettling. The stored minds in the Matrix are still there. They can be accessed, consulted, manipulated. In some cases, they can be partially reactivated, used as tools, exploited for knowledge by whoever currently controls the access protocols. You might die and still not be free. Your consciousness can persist as infrastructure, subject to the politics of institutions you never trusted when you were alive. You can be weaponized posthumously. Your thoughts, memories, and accumulated wisdom can be accessed without your consent. For a civilization that presents itself as enlightened, this is a strikingly undignified way to treat the dead. It is also, unfortunately, consistent. Gallifrey treats its living members as resources. It turns out to treat its dead ones the same way. But some people still fly the box anyway. So why does the Doctor keep going? Why do any Time Lords choose the chaos of engagement over the sterile safety of Gallifreyan detachment? Because the alternative is worse. The alternative is watching existence from behind glass for eternity, cataloging everything and touching nothing, living indefinitely while never actually being alive. The Doctor's answer to the cost of caring is not to stop caring. It's to keep moving, keep meeting people, keep making the impossible calculations and accepting the grief when they go wrong. That doesn't make it painless. It makes it meaningful despite the pain, which is a different thing. Being a Time Lord means carrying more weight than any species was designed to carry, across more time than any individual mind was designed to endure, while the universe keeps handing you situations where there are no clean answers. It sucks. It genuinely, thoroughly, cosmically sucks. And somewhere out there, a Time Lord in a blue box keeps choosing it anyway. That says something about the value of showing up, even when the cost is enormous. It also says something about how a good enough machine can compensate for almost any level of institutional trauma. If someone offers you Time Lord immortality, ask what it costs. You will not be prepared for the answer.